Yeah. Right. Now your egg's getting beaten, baby.
You can clearly tell he's done this many times.
How I beat my eggs every morning.
And with the tongue action. Chef Brian Sao here, not your typical chef, and today I'm gonna be reacting to Jimmy Yang's Breakfast of Asian Champions. If you're new to the channel, I am a professional chef with 17 years of experience. I've defeated Bobby Flay on the Food Network show, beat Bobby Flay, as well as run the world-renowned kitchen of the restaurant Beauty and Essex right here in New York City. Shout out to Dan Perlman and the rest of my awesome patrons for their amazing generosity. If you want to support the show further, be sure to visit the link in the description below where it'll take you to my Patreon page. One last thing, I am going to be doing a giveaway of an official Chef Brian Sao cutting board. Here, let me do that, show you guys. Beautiful cutting board with a rubber guard and a hole where you can hang the cutting board and not damage the wood. You will be getting this exact piece, and I will pick the winner at the end of the month and announce on this channel. All you need to do to enter is like, be subscribed, and comment. And guess what? If you're already subscribed, 1/3 of the work's done already. Jimmy Yang is a comedian with numerous specials, as well as appearing in movies like Crazy Rich Asians, The Opening Act, and is actually one of my favorite comedians in recent years.
Today, we're gonna make my favorite breakfast. It's super easy, just scrambled eggs with kimchi and also a miso soup.
Scrambled eggs with kimchi. I'm curious if the kimchi is gonna go inside the egg. Which personally for me does not sound very appetizing. We'll see. He says miso soup. It's very common in Asia to have soup for breakfast.
Super comforting.
In many parts of Asia, I should say.
It's gonna be very Asian.
I see some sesame oil. Oh, and there's definitely some seaweed. You can see it right above the miso, so that's the miso. My thing pops up as I put my mouse over it. It covers the seaweed, so that's gonna be for the miso soup. So let's
first, of course, you just crack
watching.
These two beautiful eggs in a nice little bowl.
All right, he's got dual cam action.
I don't know how to do the fancy like one-hand crack. I mean, I can attempt it. Ari, are you ready for this?
Admittedly, I'm not good at the one-hand egg cracking either. He's definitely.
Pretty sure I got shells all up in my shit.
All right, don't feel bad, Jimmy. I also suck at the one-hand crack.
For all home chefs out there, it's good to know your limits and what you can and cannot do. Good, no shells. Look at this.
All right.
And you know, a lot of people beat their eggs with a spoon.
Chopsticks?
That's not how you do it. You can do it with a fork, but you can also do it with chopstick because you need that little air in between the two.
This reminds me of a story at culinary school once. I forgot what class we were in, but someone was tasked with making pasta dough, and then he put a mound of flour onto the cutting board, created a well, put in egg, and then was, folding in the flour into the egg. And one of the chef instructors actually came over and gave him shit. And I remember this classmate literally looked up and was like, this is how my grandma has made it my entire life. Like, you're telling me I need to stop what I'm doing, grab a whisk, and get rid of this fork because you think that's the proper tool. There's more than one way to get the job done. And obviously you can also beat eggs with a chopstick.
So now you lift it up, right? And then you go in this motion. This kind of circular up and down.
Nothing revolutionary, not meant to be.
Motion.
It's okay.
You see that? Right. Now your egg's getting beaten, baby.
You can clearly tell he's done this many times.
How I beat my eggs every morning.
And with the tongue action.
You got a really nice egg texture.
Okay, all right.
All right, so that's how you beat your eggs. Now you got a really nice consistency, 2 eggs. This is a breakfast for one.
Breakfast for one.
We basically did all our prep, okay? So we got our eggs. We're gonna scramble that, fry that up, put some kimchi on top, and then
on top. All
we're
right.
gonna make our miso soup. So let's start with a little konbu. We're gonna cook the seaweed, and then we're gonna mix in our miso paste. Super easy.
Kombu is a type of seaweed. That's what was in that plate I was trying to show earlier, and it's a much thicker seaweed. And, you know, fun fact of things like miso and seaweed, they have natural MSG in it. So MSG is a naturally occurring thing, but they also make it in artificial forms where it gets its bad rap when you overuse it. It can, you know, make you overly thirsty, potentially give you headaches and stuff like that if consumed in ridiculous quantities, and or if you're not used to it and suddenly have a big amount. You know, MSG is like anything else. If you have too much sugar, it's no good for you. If you have too much MSG, pretty much the same thing. But I guarantee you, if you eat any type of junk food or processed food, especially the saltier types, if you look at the ingredients list, you're definitely going to see MSG. But like I said, for miso soup and something like seaweed, even in steak and tomatoes, MSG is naturally occurring. That's why these things are so savory, or the Japanese word would be called umami, which is their word for a savory flavor profile.
I don't even need a knife. Konbu. What is konbu? That is seaweed. It's what gives you an actual umami. You can use dashi, like powder hondashi.
Hondashi, yeah.
But konbu is just kind of more authentic.
Hondashi is a, you know, it's, I would basically, I would almost say it's like the Asian bouillon cubes for making stocks and soups.
Use this as a base. And for good miso soup, you just want a little bit of that. Now, I got this in my local Japanese market. It says for soup stock. And
I thought he was going to pull out a different seaweed. I can't remember the name right now. But there's another type of seaweed. It's much thinner, it's longer, and that cooks very quickly and is much more tender. And sometimes can be found in miso soup. It's more commonly found in Korean seaweed soup.
Okay. Now let's take this out. It comes with an instruction manual, kind of like an IKEA cabinet. So first it says clean the konbu. Okay, we did that already. And then soak the kombu in water. While the kombu is bringing up to a boil, we're gonna start our eggs. Canola oil.
Okay. All right. So he's obviously done this before, and it may seem like a little thing, but in the professional kitchen, this is very important, is multitasking, doing multiple things at once. So what's gonna take the longest? It's your soup, right? The kombu needs to soak in water, it needs to cook. The water's probably cold and or room temperature, so it's gonna take time for the water to heat up. So he has that going, and while he's, you know, he didn't just put it there and it's like waiting for that to get done and then start another thing. What's great is he did his prep, cracked his eggs, beat his eggs, that's ready to go. He set it aside. Now he moved on to the next part where, you know, he doesn't need to necessarily baby it, which is the miso soup. He's getting that started with the water and the kombu, getting it over a heat source, working it. And now, while that is working, his eggs are already prepped, so he can go into cooking his eggs. And hopefully, by the time the eggs are cooked, the miso soup is pretty much ready to go and be completed. So let's see how his timing works out.
It's not gonna be like your French style scrambled egg that like Gordon Ramsay or like, you know, Wolfgang Puck makes or whatever. This is gonna be kind of high heat, kind of how my dad made it growing up. You know, I think a French egg you cook at really low heat, very delicately with like, you know, butter or creme fraiche or something. It's just gonna turn out like a mushy baby food. I don't like it. I want my egg to...
So, good thing something good he's pointing out. In Asian cultures, typically the eggs are cooked much harder. You know, the crispy edges is pretty normal. I would agree that oftentimes it is cooked on a very high heat, especially in places like, you know, China, Thailand, Malaysia, you know, or Southeast Asia in general, where they the main cooking vessel is some type of wok with an intense heat. So what he's talking about is pretty spot on in the old world Western, you know, egg cookery. It's all about the softness, the tenderness, working the eggs low and steady. So there is a difference in egg cookery. You can clearly see a non-stick pan. It's clearly been used. He's clearly cooked eggs many times. I admire the Le Creuset pot, which are wonderful cooking vessels. And he's using a good amount of oil. So I think he's going to go for that hard scramble.
Like nice and silky, but still have a little chew. Don't touch it.
He's waiting.
I'm just feeling it.
He's waiting for the pan to get hot before he puts in the egg.
It's like a dog show, when those dog trainers stick their hand under a dog's like crotch, so you can feel the heat. That's how you know it's a thoroughbred. All right, now it's getting really hot. I'm gonna slowly put in the egg. You hear that sizzle?
All right.
Oh, that's nice.
All right,
that's
good.
nice.
So it's
now if you
sizzling.
don't move it, it's just gonna be an egg omelet. I like the high heat. That's why a little bubble forms on the side. And I'm gonna keep stirring it. You gotta stir it kind of quick with a chopstick.
Nice.
You know. Now you got that real silky texture. And before you know it, bam, it's done. Take it off.
So he didn't do a hard scramble. He turned off the heat before the eggs. What I think he's doing is he's turning off the eggs, the heat source for the pan that's cooking the eggs before it's to his desired texture because it's going to continue to cook. Let's see.
Heat, that's it.
What I think.
How long did that take? 5 seconds? That's
5
it.
seconds.
Get yourself a plate here. Plate.
He
Plate.
didn't have his
Very
plate
large
ready.
Plate. That's fine.
That's okay.
That's fine. Put a plate here.
Okay, so he's got his.
You see how silky
eggs
that
cooked?
is?
Yeah, nice. All right.
Oh, that's silky.
I'd be very happy
That's
with
nice.
that.
Check that out. Check that out.
I do wish that he put salt into the eggs as he whisked it. I don't know if he's intending to put it on top, but that's just plain egg, no salt, unless he did that off camera.
Silky. That's some silky eggs.
That is
Actually,
some silky
honestly,
eggs.
I could have
Good
took it
job.
off even faster. Literally took 5 seconds when all is hot. Okay. So what I'm gonna do?
Perfect
there's no
scrambled
salt,
eggs.
right? You
Good
can
job.
add salt. You can add pepper.
Oh.
To each his own. What I like to do.
So he does know that he didn't add any salt, and he mentioned that you totally can at this stage. Again, I would have done it in the part where he was beating in the egg. I would mix it into the egg.
Just a little bit of
Sesame
oil.
oil.
To give that nutty flavor, because we're gonna
Okay.
mix this with kimchi. So we might as well make this taste like very nice and.
I've never done it.
Look at that drizzle.
I've never had it like
Drizzle
that.
Of sesame oil.
Okay. Sesame oil is very pungent. A little bit goes a long way. So, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing as far as this dish goes.
You're gonna need a little bit of kimchi.
Kimchi, okay.
Let me get a clean pair of chopsticks here.
And kimchi will have a lot of salt in
Any
itself,
kimchi you
so
buy from a
that's
store,
maybe
I'm
why
sure
he
people know
didn't
how to make
add
their own as well.
any kimchi.
We're not doing that
I'm
right
sorry,
here
he
on this
didn't add
channel.
any salt
Just,
into the
use
egg.
Some store-bought kimchi. This one's good. Cosmos lactose fermented kimchi. Still, you can use a little bit of pepper.
Okay. Black pepper.
And for salt,
All right,
I like
nice.
to use soy sauce.
Soy
in my
sauce,
eggs. Just
very
a little
common thing,
drizzle
and that I've had
soy
many
sauce
times.
all around.
Some
Bam.
fried eggs with soy sauce,
Look
beautiful.
at how silky that egg is. Right.
Plating doesn't look great. You know, it's not a pretty dish per se, but I don't think he's not serving this at Per Se or the French Laundry or whatever fancy restaurant.
There.
So I would eat the shit out of that though.
It's gonna be delicious. Okay.
Okay.
Now
see.
it's been about 20 minutes. We brought it up to a.
So if it's been 20 minutes and this is a like 10-minute video, wow, that's a long time for water to come to a boil. Oh, well, I guess he was working the kombu. Your eggs are going to be cold by now, so I wouldn't be happy with that. I probably would have had the soup done first before I started cooking the egg, but let's keep watching.
The kombu has now expanded and it has done its job. I think some of these you can eat. These we're just gonna put aside. Okay. So now, as you can see,
Yeah, you can eat that if you really cook the shit out of it, but generally it's not that pleasant. You generally don't eat the kombu.
the water has it still doesn't have any salt in it. It just has a little murkiness. That's really the dashi flavor, the umami that you want. Once again, you can use those pellet hondashis, but this is real dashi umami from the sea. So now we'll put that aside. You just have a nice base now. We're gonna use our miso paste.
Okay, miso paste.
So this, there's so many kinds of miso out here.
Misos are like wines. There are so many ways to make it, so many varietals. Depends on region. So misos can be as simple. You can go for box wine, keep it simple, or you can get really sophisticated and really detailed into your miso picks.
Darker. There's also white miso. To each their own. They're all very, very good. I feel like as long as they got some Japanese writings on it, it's probably pretty legit. I'm not Japanese, but
Yeah, I'm not gonna
I
lie.
do
That's
enjoy good
pretty
miso.
much my extent of
I'm just gonna
knowledge into
spoonful
misos.
of this. Once again, we're eyeballing. This is about half a pot of this tiny pot. We're gonna get a spoonful. You see, it doesn't really melt in all the way. So what I do?
Admittedly,
little
miso is not very
chopsticks, or
pretty
whisk,
looking,
actually,
but
to break it
doesn't
down.
matter as long as it's delicious,
Chopstick
right?
on the spoon, break it all the way
Yep,
down,
break it down.
and then just let it boil for 1 second.
Mhm.
This is great. We got kimchi, we got miso. This is your probiotic breakfast, baby. That looks a little watery, so I'm gonna add another half a spoon.
Okay.
It's really to your liking.
Yeah.
You can make your miso soup thicker. You can make
agree
it
with that.
thinner.
I would also
You can
taste
even
it
add a
to see
little
how
salt
salty
in
it is.
I actually don't like to add any salt because the miso already has a salty flavor.
Okay,
I'll
great.
try it right here.
He's probably made this so many damn times that he generally knows what the color and texture he wants to achieve before he even tastes it. If he was a newbie, or if I was trying to explain to a young cook or a home cook to make miso soup for the first time, I would tell them, you know, put in this amount and taste it first. And if you feel like it's not salty enough, then add more. But like I said, he's probably made this countless times, so he's very confident in the quantity of miso he puts in.
Oh, that's really good. It's
Nice.
just such a homey feel with the miso soup. It's so comforting. And with the dashi, it adds an extra layer of flavor. It's not necessarily salty, but like I said, it's umami. It's that je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi? I don't know what that means.
I do know some French terms from going to culinary school, but and I've heard that before. I don't know what it means, and it may be something really obvious. Let me know in the comments what it means.
Just for a little bit. It's already done. I can't really find a ladle. I have this very big plastic spoon, so I'm gonna pour it in the bowl. But we're gonna put this boiling hot soup over it. So now you almost got yourself like a egg drop miso. Look at that. I'm not wasting one bit of that egg.
Okay, all right, nice.
Pour miso soup or serve.
That's definitely something I would do at home. He's basically creating less dishes for him to clean up, and he's using the same bowl that he beat the eggs into. It has that little bit of egg on the bottom, maybe coating onto the side. But once you put in that soup, it's gonna cook off that egg. If there was any type of salmonella, it's, you know, that soup's definitely going to be hotter than 165 degrees. You'll be fine. I mean, how often do you eat a sunny side up egg? Every time you eat an undercooked egg, you're technically you have the potential to get salmonella. Very rare these days from eggs, you know, especially if you get pasteurized stuff, you'll be fine. Or is it called pasteurized? I think that's for milk. I may be using the wrong terminology. But anyway, where they slowly warm up the egg for a prolonged period of time to kill off any bacteria, germs, so on and so forth.
Make sure you stir it a little bit because it does kind of go to the bottom there. All right. Look at that. Egg drop miso. Ooh. Ooh.
And in egg drop soup, the traditional way to make that is you beat some eggs, and when the soup is boiling, you pour in the eggs very slowly as it's boiling, and when the egg goes in, it kind of, you know, spins around and then gives you all those little pieces of egg dispersed throughout the soup. The real way to do that is you have a thickened soup. Like I've made a lot of egg drop soup in my time when I used to have a Chinese takeout restaurant a long time ago. And that was a cornstarch thickened soup. And the thicker the soup is, the more like leafy, the more leafy pieces of egg that you'll get from it rather than tiny bits and pieces. That's a small detail that doesn't really involve miso soup, but something I figure I'd mention.
Come on, man. That's nice. And now we have our beautiful Jimmy's breakfast. Eggs, kimchi, miso soup, right? They probably charge you this $50 at Ritz-Carlton and call it like the Oriental special or tour of Asia or something stupid. We did this in like 10 seconds. And guess what? Of course, top it off, we're gonna put a little bit of scallions on top.
All right,
Give that color.
get the green, color contrast, a little bit of freshness, brightness.
Bam. And now it's time for the taste test. This is the same pair of chopsticks I used earlier for the soup.
Yeah, he's really being efficient. Like I said, less dishes to clean up.
Oh my God. The perfect nuttiness from the sesame oil. Just a little touch of soy sauce.
I'm gonna try that next time. I haven't really had eggs with sesame oil. I know it's not gonna be bad. As I mentioned earlier, I think the eggs are cold by now.
And this has nice structure to it.
If he said that the soup was cooking for 20 minutes and he completed those eggs in literally 30 seconds, well, that's okay. He's making it for himself at home.
Kimchi.
I probably would have waited for the soup to either have been done before I started cooking the eggs, and or waited for the kombu broth to be at a full, had already been boiling for 20 minutes, and then all I needed to do was add the miso if I wanted a super, super fresh miso soup.
The probiotics good for you. It's how you start your morning. They always say, you know, eat food from different color spectrum. You got every morning, you got yellow, green, red. This is the business right here, man. I like the little.
It's certainly very colorful. Yeah.
I like that.
Nice touch. Beautiful home.
It's so simple and so good. I don't know why when I'm eating this, I'm like putting my hand in front of my mouth like that. It's like, oh, let's try this soup.
The soup? Yeah, it's a good looking miso soup. It's that simple, guys. Most supermarkets these days will carry some kind of miso, and it's got a great shelf life. You can keep it in your fridge for ages. So
the dashi.
If someone's looking for an introduction into cooking, I definitely recommend you trying to make miso soup. Super easy.
It has already umami, but when you have that kombu dashi flavor, it just rounds up your entire flavor palette and makes everything better. Oh my god!
Damn, now I want some miso soup.
This is what I eat almost every morning. It's probably why I'm so in shape. I have a six-pack underneath this, in case you guys can't tell. Guys, we did it. The breakfast of champions. The breakfast of Asian champions. Eggs with kimchi, and of course, a miso soup. And it's so simple. The eggs took 5 seconds. The miso soup, if you didn't do it with the combo, you don't have to seaweed. It's fine. That's just literally boiling water and miso.
Yeah, you can do that too. You don't have to have the kombu. If you want to keep it even simpler, just get the miso and water, chop up some scallion, and you'll have a great soup. So this is clearly for the home cook. This is, as he mentioned, this is something he makes for himself every morning. He's got his routine down. He's got his steps down. He knows exactly when he needs to start something when. As I mentioned, I felt like he made the eggs too soon, but it could also be editing. The kombu broth was working for 20 minutes, but that happened. The video cut to that after the eggs were done. So as I mentioned, if that is the case, the eggs would have clearly been cold by the time the soup was done. That's my only criticism. Little nice touches of comedic relief throughout. I still to this day love Jimmy. If I were to score this 1 out of 10, I'll give him a 7. I'll give him an 8. Yeah, let's give him an 8. You know, he's not trying to serve this to you at a restaurant. You know, if that was at a restaurant, that'd be a little bit of a different story. But for the home cook, solid 8 out of 10. Had his steps down. Really like him. Good shit, Jimmy. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, I am doing the giveaway of this Chef Brian Tsao cutting board. If you want to enter yourself in for a chance to win it, make sure you like the video, that you subscribe, and you comment. That's all you need to do. Until next time, my friends, I am Chef Brian Tsao, not your typical chef, and I'll see you really soon.